All of the cast members of Skins mean everything to me. But you know, there are just a couple that mean a lot to the writers of the individual stories personally, and that's where we came from. And I chose to work with Hannah Murray.
I never thought I would come back. I was really clear in my head that that part of my life was over, playing that character was over.
We had a conversation prior to the shoot, and we talked quite a while actually about that decision and making that choice.
I had a meeting with Brian probably in February, and I remember sort of going to it thinking, I sort of had an inkling that he was going to ask me to come back, and I was thinking, oh, it's going to be really awkward, I'm going to have to say no.
In some ways you could say it's exciting to go back and revisit, you know, the same story, the same character that you started out with when you were so young. But at the same time you can understand that that's quite scary.
And then as soon as he pitched the idea to me for this story, my immediate gut thing was that I wanted to do it. So, and that really surprised me.
All of the actors that are in the show thought long and hard before they wanted to do it. And I thought long and hard about whether we wanted to do it. But eventually, I think all of us felt that there were stories left to tell, and that there were more unusual ways of approaching them.
No!
In this series of films, you get to concentrate on the characters, the main characters, a lot more, and find out much more of their day-to-day routines, their day-to-day lives, you know. So you get a much more in-depth view of Hannah and how she works. You know.
She's been in America. She's been with a boy. I will leave it up to some people might have ideas about who that is. I think it's quite nice to leave that ambiguous.
I think when we last saw Cassie in Skins, there was a very kind of ambiguous kind of ending to that story. I think it's probably safe to say that Cassie travelled through America and eventually came home. I prefer to leave it at that.
Paul Gay, who's directing this one, is the first director I ever worked with, and it's also the first character I ever played.
The guys have grown up. I mean, I only get to work with Hannah, you know, and she's been off and got a degree at Cambridge, she's done a few independent movies, her whole persona has changed, you know, she's very much grown up now, you know.
I know how much I've changed from being 17 to 23. I also know how much she can have changed. And that was another reason why I really wanted to do it, and why I said yes to this, was because it didn't feel like going back and playing the same character. I felt like after I left Skins I almost sort of got younger, and I started playing 15-year-olds and played a lot more teenagers. But as I was getting older, I was still playing 17-year-olds. So it's been really interesting and refreshing to get to be someone that's more of an adult. The main difference, I guess, is that it's not a series. It's 3 two-part stories which are completely standalone, and the characters don't overlap at all between them. So they're just kind of, I guess, instead of making a TV show, we're almost making kind of 3 mini films.
We just felt that after 6 years, we built up a big audience of different kinds of ages, you know, from people in their teens to people a little bit older. And we just wanted to write stories at a little bit more length and complication and sophistication. And we wanted to kind of acknowledge that our audience may not all be adults. They are adult in their outlook and their understanding.
Well, it feels very right, I guess, that Brian has written this one, because he wrote both my episodes in the first series and in the second series.
I didn't have that clear a vision. I actually spent a little bit of time with Hannah, talking to her about where she felt she was as an actress.
The writing in this is fantastic, you know. When I first read it, really, because obviously the first place you start when you take any job is a script, and the script on this got me straight away. And you'd think, if you read it, you'd think it was written by a 23-year-old, but it just isn't. It's how he gets into the mindset of those people. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
To do this at the end of this year, which has probably been, work-wise for me, the best year I've ever had, and I've done kind of a load of other jobs right before, like 3 jobs back to back running up to this, and this feels like a really nice culmination of that, because all those things wouldn't have happened if I hadn't done Skins in the first place.
I don't know what the legacy of Skins will be. The thing that kept it going was the fans who changed. You know, people grew out of Skins, and it's totally okay to grow out of Skins and leave it behind. But new people came in. But there's a kind of bedrock of support for the show there. Even when people have hated what we've done, you always felt that they basically were on our side. So the legacy of Skins really is a generation of fans to whom we'll always be eternally grateful.